So it's been about 3 years since many workers had to work from home because of the C-19 virus. And basically, the pandemic has changed things forever. And from the labor market to business establishments, remote work has had a lot of impacts on the economy. And this will likely continue to be true as experts are reporting. Now, a lot of people during this whole, shutdown situation, a lot of people began to realize that they could work from home, that they could make money remotely. And a lot of companies supported it. And that kind of allowed people to realize the importance of the work-life balance. And people began to prioritize more their families and their personal time, their space away from work. And people began to no longer decide to just, dedicate their entire prime years to a job, to a workplace that ultimately just wants to squeeze as much profits out of them and then throw you by the wayside when you're no longer needed. And so that is why, in my opinion, a lot of job openings remain open. We see, for hiring signs at different establishments, Walmart, McDonald's, Publix. There are a number of different places that are looking to hire people. In fact, we were at Cheesecake Factory not too long ago, and one of the managers in there was telling us how he's been trying to hire more waitresses, more staff, and he's been struggling to do it. Now, I'm not sure what they're offering to pay, but I know a lot of these businesses, we repeatedly hear this, especially in the service industry. When you see a compromised level of service, it's generally due to a lack of staffing or poor training by management. But in many cases, when we actually complain about the type of service that we're having, in this particular case, we were complaining about the slow service in Cheesecake Factory. They were saying that, they're struggling to hire people. But the question is why? Now, around 3 years ago, many office workers, they pretty much grabbed their last coffee before riding the elevator up to the office floor. They ate their lunches with their coworkers in the office kitchens for one last time. And then all of a sudden, they said goodbye to in-person meetings and their desk neighbors, potentially forever. And so no one really expected to be stuck at home for the next year or two. And this was a cultural change. This was a significant cultural shift. And now that these companies are trying to bring people back in the office, people just aren't going for it. Many people have bought homes that are, fairly inconvenient to now transition from where they're living to this new lifestyle that they've built for themselves to going back into the office. And people are fighting it. Now, the interesting thing is that a lot of companies nowadays, they're trying to get people back in the office, not because they're not being productive working remotely. A lot of these companies are trying to get people to come back in the office just because they don't want to have to fire people or lay them off. Because if you can demand that your workers come back in the office, knowing that they don't want to come back in the office, well, what are people going to do? They're going to want to rebel. They're going to want to retain their freedom and not go back into prison, which is basically what a lot of people feel like, going into the office is like. It feels like prison for 9 hours a day, not to mention the amount of time you're wasting sitting in traffic. But what they're banking on, what they're betting on is that many employees will say, hey, I'm not going to go back. I'm just going to stay home and screw it. I'll just quit. So they're hoping that people actually quit their jobs so that they don't have to pay for unemployment insurance for those who they had to lay off. It saves the company a lot of money if they could just kind of, out themselves, so to speak. So we were out at a restaurant today, and we were actually chatting it up with one of the waitresses there. It's a new local establishment, and very nice place, actually. And so, we were just kind of like chilling outside, waiting for our table to be available and just enjoying the environment, looking at the families enjoying themselves, having a good time outside. And by the time we were seated, we spoke with the waitress, and she began to, ask us, what do we want? And she was very friendly. Long and short of it, she I don't know. She had a really cool personality to her. And I happened to ask her, how did she like working there? And she said that she really enjoyed it, but she probably won't be here for very long. And I said, oh, really? I was like, well, this place is pretty new. It was only open for like 3-4 months so far. And I'm like, so what do you plan on doing? She was like, well, I'm really just working to be able to pay off my car so I can eliminate my car note, be done with a car payment. And I just want to spend more time with my kid. I want to spend more time at home. And, this is cool and all, but I just don't want to work here in the restaurant industry anymore. The money is decent, but it's just not worth it. And I said, really? So, this is on the backs of a recent article that I was reading not too long ago, talking about how many people who have left the workforce and how the pandemic has accelerated the number of people who have left the workforce. Now, obviously, many people have, created online businesses. They started online, maybe home-based businesses. They started some type of entrepreneurial venture to generate income for themselves, for their families. Maybe they did early retirement, living off of their 401ks, their Roth IRAs, maybe some high dividend paying ETFs or something like that. But this was a girl who was I'm probably going to say she's no more than 24, 25 years old. And she said to us that she's done. Once she pays off her car, she doesn't want to have to come in anymore. And I asked her, I'm like, okay, are you just going to sit home all day? And she's like, no, there's some passions that I have an interest in, and I'm just going to go ahead and pursue those passions from home. And, she said that she's pretty confident that she'll be able to generate some form of an income working from home, starting an online business, maybe an e-commerce store, Shopify, Amazon FBA, maybe even starting a YouTube channel. But basically, she said that she wanted to eliminate the burden that was tying her down to having to have a job, a traditional job. She wanted to eliminate that burden. That way she could focus more on her kid, spend more time doing what she wanted to do, spend more time with her child, and to basically just allow her some time to pursue her passions. So that just got me thinking. It's like, man, how many other people are out there doing that same thing? We talk about Walmart, how they're shutting down stores and Walmart's laying off thousands of workers. And the thing is, in my opinion, you guys correct me if I'm wrong. Let me know if you disagree, but Walmart, they were doing well as a company. They were doing well as a company before the pandemic. They did well during the pandemic, and they're doing well post-pandemic. And I realize that there's a lot of theft that takes place in these stores. There's shrink, and that's what happens with any retail store. I've worked in retail for many years, and I understand, 5-finger discount stuff walks out the store. And it's not just the customers. Sometimes it's the employees themselves that are a part of this organization of theft. But the simple fact of the matter, in my opinion, is that I think that Walmart and many other companies realize how profitable they could be by having fewer employees working there and implementing more automation, more of the self-checkouts. And they got really used to the wider, bigger, thicker profit margins of having more of a skeleton crew staff and not really having customers complain too much about less staff being there, or customers weren't complaining to the point where they were just not shopping at Walmart. People may have complained, but then Walmart probably looked at their balance sheet and they're like, what? They're not all that happy, but they still coming. They still swiping those Visa, MasterCard, and American Express cards through here. So, maybe we'll just kind of keep it low staff. We'll blame some of these store shutdowns. We'll shut down some of these less profitable stores. And you guys have seen Walmart stock on the stock market. I mean, the Walmart stock is still doing well. Walmart, ticker symbol WMT. And you can find them on, E-Trade, TD Ameritrade, Charles Schwab, Fidelity, all the M1 Finance, all your big brokers. And the stock is still doing very well. The income statements are very profitable still for Walmart. So for the stores that they've decided to shut down, is the real reason that they're shutting down those stores due to the fact that there is such a disparate amount disparate? Is that a word? Is the real reason why they're shutting down those stores because there's so much more theft taking place in those stores, or is there some other reason? Me personally, the thing is those stores were not unprofitable. They might have been less profitable than other stores, but it's like, why just shut them down? Now, obviously, I think they want to push more customers toward their online store presence. They've been struggling to battle against Amazon and this whole online retail space. Amazon's the gorilla. Amazon's the 800-pound gorilla in the room. Walmart is still trying to compete with Amazon, but Amazon is just such a beast still. They're such a beast. And then of course, there's Target. Target's got, their little online presence, but they're not much bigger than Walmart. In fact, I think they're smaller. Their online e-commerce presence, in my opinion, is less impactful than Walmart's. But at the end of the day, it's like, people are really starting to reprioritize what's important to them. And, here's the thing, I'm wondering, like, where is everyone? Right. And it's like, because I had a conversation with a store manager. I'm like, where are all these people who needed jobs before the pandemic that suddenly don't need jobs now? And it's just weird because it's like, these stores, these companies, these restaurants, these businesses, they didn't struggle to have staff before the pandemic. And now that everything's opened back up, nobody's really afraid of anything. How come the workers didn't come back? But I think the true fact of the matter is that it's multifaceted. Number one, people redefined what was important to them. The reset allowed people to really determine, how do I want to live my life going forward? Do I want to commit, so many hours a day to a company that's literally just going to drain me dry and, keep me away from my family? Or maybe there's another way. And so, I think a lot of people have decided to invest in themselves. They started online businesses. They decided to work from home. They take jobs that allow them to work from home. And if the companies don't support that, well, see ya, I'll go somewhere else. And I think a lot of other people decided, hey, maybe I don't need all this materialistic stuff. Maybe if I downgrade my lifestyle a little bit, we can live on one income instead of two. And so if that's the case, obviously that would affect the GDP of the United States because there's less production taking place in terms of business output. If everyone, or if many people, a significant enough segment of the economy decided to downgrade their lifestyle, because if you guys think about it, the economy is largely based on consumption. And so if everyone decided, hey, I don't need to have a $65,000 car to get me to work. And it's so funny because it's like, some people, they drive 65, 70, 80,000, $100,000 cars to get to work. And it's like, at the end of the day, all you did was you spent so much more to transport yourself to get to work. And the whole goal is to get money so that you can use that money on your family, to support yourself, to support your family, to go on vacations, to enjoy life. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like, why spend $100 on a hammer when a $15 hammer will do the same job, And at the end of the day, if all you need to do is get to work, do you really need that super expensive vehicle? Now, I like nice things as much as the next person, but at the end of the day, it's like, I like nice things as much as the next person, but not to the extent that I'm willing to allow it to take away from my freedom. And if you allow your stuff to become such a financial burden to you, then your stuff begins to own you versus you owning your stuff, if that makes sense, right? So I think that a lot of people are coming to that conclusion. But anyway, let me know what you guys' thoughts are on that. Are you guys seeing any major changes in terms of remote work? Are you seeing companies more supportive of remote work or less supportive of remote work? And also let me know what you guys are thinking in terms of like online businesses, entrepreneurship, and just kind of starting your own home-based business. Any entrepreneurs out there in the audience watching this video, let me know what you guys think on the topic today. Love to hear from you guys. You guys be safe. Drop a like for the video, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.